We are live. We're live. Take it in.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 5 Non-Negotiable Calls. I'm here with my co-founders and partners, JC Martinez and Dan Putnam, who are loving to be here with you this morning. Guys, I got to tell you, I love the 9 o'clock time hour. It kind of gets me up. I have to get thinking. I get my book out. I review the notes. And it's a really good habit, I guess I should say, to get going. So I love how these calls, if you can look from the first one being structured to, hey, we're going to talk about some cool things and, because get some good advice, some company updates. I really like the evolution of how these calls are kind of transforming into what we are. Just kind of like, playing off and using a lot of success we've had in our lives and sharing that story. Anything you want to say about that, Mr. Martinez?
No, I think that one of the points that we're trying to project on these calls is to make sure that we're going in the right direction, right? Like these 5 non-negotiable calls is not to motivate you in any way, because we know that motivation is just something momentary, but to actually so you can go ahead and take that advice and grow with us and actually take it to the next level on the things that we feel that help us go to the next level, because we know that the media or whatever is out there that portrays and that shows you that, hey, you need to do this in order to be successful. Some of them is true and some of it is not. And sometimes we have the wrong perception of what is success, that, hey, you have to read this amount of books, you have to go ahead and listen this podcast. But we have a lot of people that is very knowledgeable but not successful. So I think that one of the things that we're trying to do here is actually taking the things that are good for you and now take it to practice, taking action, taking all the things that are actually going to make you the consistency and everything. So I'm pumped, Travis. I'm pumped. I don't want to go too much into detail.
Awesome. No, that's good. In fact, that's a great lead-in, JC, because as you know, we're reading the Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, he has a great name in the industry, and it was a book recommended by Dan. And the chapter we're on is chapter 10, which goes into a whole new section called Living the Slight Edge, which is what you were saying. It's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to actually live the slight edge. And so those are the things we're going to be talking about here today on the call, just to kind of get the topics going. But it's about living the slight edge and doing those things. The first thing, and I credit Dan to this one. I've on multiple occasions, Dan has always said this on calls, on trainings. He's always said this: recognize that everything is in motion. You're either going forward or you're going backwards, but it's a truth. It's not just something that looks like a graph on a book with a page. It's a real live projectile that's you're either going up or you're going down. And Dan, you want to talk about that? Because I know, dude, I have heard you say this time and time again. You're always in motion. You're going forwards or backwards.
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing is that people need to understand is the world's never sitting still. So if let's just say that you're in a race, you know what I mean? And you just sit there and pause for a little while, you're getting past. It's not like every single person is going to sit there and agree, okay, we've been working hard the first 17 days of January, let's take a breather. And again, you really look at things like some of the most successful people, that's what they're counting on. They know that people are going to be taking breathers and people are going to be resting, and they know they're not. And that's why they always end up on top, because they just keep pushing, they keep going. I think anything that you look at it in business, you can't relax. I mean, you don't have to be 100% all the time, but you always have to be moving forward. And I think that even if it's baby steps, you know what I mean? Yeah. Even if you're going slower than you would like, you're still moving in the right direction.
Well, in the book, the previous chapter 9, he talks about that 1% increase, which we learned in Atomic Habits, but it's not about 100% every day. It's about just a 1% effort every day. That's it. The little micro steps is what gets you constantly moving forward.
I think also has to do a lot with the circle that you are in. I think that your family, your friends, your society, everything that you're involved with, it will pull you back into whatever they think is right. And in order to be successful, so many times, and I've seen this, and I apply this to my own life. And I was watching today a reel about it, and I sent it to them because I I felt so identified with that reel is that sometimes you have all your family and friends right here, right? And you have your dream in this side, and you're trying to pull it like a wristband, right? And then they go back to you and say like, no, it's okay. You need to have balance. It's okay to not be a millionaire. It's okay to all the things that you want to go ahead and do. They try to give it, but no, I need to go. And they try to pull you back. And that's so true. The moment that you let go, and the moment that you change your circle, and then you say, okay, if I'm going to be successful, I need to go ahead and stop victimizing myself and stop saying I need balance in my life. That's not true. If you want to be successful, you want to make it fast, and you have nothing, and
You'll
you
be out of balance. A good balance, good out of balance.
For sure, you need to go ahead and definitely even forget about friends, forget about family, forget about the weekends. You need to go ahead and hustle. And like Dan said, there is no breathing. It's the whole competition game and the whole thing. And I hate, honestly, when people say like, "Oh, you need to have balance." Oh crap! That thing doesn't exist when you're going up and you have nothing. You know what I mean? If you have,
and going back to Dan's analogy,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, going back to Dan's analogy on the race, I actually a few years ago I did a Ragnar race. A Ragnar race is like it's over 100 miles. It takes about over 24 hours, and you do it on a relay with a bunch of teams. And the interesting thing about the Ragnar is the job that you have is to get kills. That's what they call it. Like when your leg is up, it's like how many kills did you get? A kill is when you run and you pass somebody, and you keep a mental tack, and then because you're in a relay team, you have this van. And everyone puts these big markers on their vans, the number of kills they got. And that's the name of the game, meaning that, like Dan said, if you take a break and I see you taking a break, I'm going to pass you up because that's a kill for me. And so you have these bragging rights of how many kills you got on your leg of the race. And that is so true in business. Like you see someone resting, dude, take them out, like let's, get that going. So I love that lion mindset, but that's a real thing at the Ragnar race, which I learned that I thought was a great life lesson as well. If you're not going forward, you're going to get killed. So
for sure. And not to really go back, Travis, but one of the things that I've talked to people all the time in different trainings and really kind of showing that 1%, we talk a lot about it. Everybody should be adding at least 3 to 4 people a day to their list. And you fast forward that to in 1 year, you're going to have over 1,000 people that you've added to the list. And if you just kind of figure you're adding around 100 a month, with 3 to 4 a day. And then you look at that second step is cultivating. And so I have 100 people I've been cultivating for 11 months, 200 for 10 months, 300 for 9 months, et cetera, et cetera. And then we talk about, let's say that you did that just for 1 year and you have, approximately 1,200 people in your list. Some of them you've been cultivating somewhere between 1 month to 11 months. And then you launch your business. How easy would it be to get 3 or 4 people if you had a list of over 1,000 of your perfect prospects that you've been cultivating for? It's like, for sure you're going to. And those are the things, like when you first start day one and you haven't had a lot of success in network marketing, you haven't built a list, you launch your business, you might not get a lot of signups. And a lot of times people get kind of discouraged about that. But you have to look at, you just by adding 3 or 4 a day, which again, that's not, you're talking like 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day. That's it. 10, 15 minutes a day adding to your list. In 1 year's time, you have 1,200 people to your list. And again, when we teach people and we educate people on your perfect prospect, how do you find your perfect prospect? Those are the only people you're adding to your list. So you have 1,200 people added to your perfect prospect list. And then you launch your business and you invite them all to, view a video, view a Zoom, whatever it is. The chances are you're probably going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people realistically. And that's just in 1 year. As you continue doing that and your entire team continues doing that, it's just those 1%. But what if you're adding 0 people a day to your list? Meaning this person's only working like 15 or 20 minutes more than you, right? But it's not just that he's working 15 or 20 minutes more. He's working 15 to 20 minutes specifically building his list, cultivating the list. In 1 year's time, he's so far ahead of you that it's not even comparable. He could do any business that he wanted to do and probably sign up 50 to 100 people in his first week. Yeah, and I've seen it over and over. Like as a distributor, if I would join a business, the first business I ever joined, it took me days to sign up one person, maybe a week or two to sign up one person. But once I started building my list and adding to that every single day and focusing on that, the next business I joined, I probably signed up 600-700 people in my first couple of weeks personally.
Wow.
And would I have done that without a list? Of course
No.
not. Would I have done that if
Yeah.
I didn't cultivate? Of course not. I never would. And it's not
Yeah.
like I was spending 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day building my list. I was spending half hour, maybe per day.
Well,
And
not
I
only
was so
that-
far ahead within 2 or 3 years. I was so far
Yeah.
ahead of pretty much every other distributor in the entire network marketing industry, not because I was doing anything amazing, just because I was consistently building my list and cultivating my list every day. And then when I launch something, for sure, I'm bringing in hundreds.
Well,
And-
Dan, one thing I know about you working with you for the last decade was people come to you now. Like it's almost like it's interesting because I know what it's like in the beginning myself, where you've got to go out and reach out, but you're to this point where you've cultivated that list, you've cultivated these relationships that they come to you now and like, hey, what's the latest? What's going on? What can I, and that's real cultivation where you put in all the work at one time that pays off the dividends now based off who you are, the relationships you create, because that's really the best thing I've seen happen. That's why you've been so successful in your career, is everyone trusts you, they like you. It's because you put in the work, you cultivated, that list.
Yeah.
I remember
And
when you called me when I was out and I was like, oh yeah, Dan. And I went and met with you, and it's just, that's what you do by cultivating your list. You just have that, it's an easy yes with you.
Yeah. So I think a big thing that people need to be thinking, okay, we're 17 days in to January. Everybody had these big expectations. 2023 is going to be my year. Now the first month is half over.
Yeah.
And how are we doing? Are we moving, forward in a big way? Or are we already starting to slip back into 2022 and thinking, oh, well, maybe 2024 will be the year, so it's
that's-
so easy to do. And really, these are the purposes of these calls, is just to kind of have that weekly check-in call.
Awakening.
Yeah.
Check-in awakening. Well,
Yeah,
this goes right into the second point, Dan, on chapter 10. It talks about there are two types of people that live in success, people that live in failure. And what they said was the biggest was attitude. And I'm going to tell you a personal story of mine, but the attitude was this: those that live in failure live in blame. In other words, it's someone else's fault for my failure, right? Those that live in success live in responsibility. I own it, my bad. If it doesn't work out, I'll find a way. And he's saying that mindset, just those two things, determines on where you're at. And he actually asks you to go and kind of reflect on your life. Do you live in blame or do you live in responsibility? And I want to share a quick story that I was talking to JC about this earlier before the call that forever changed my life. Years ago, when I was a corporate employee, I was working for Aaron Garrity, as you know, was the owner of Zango. And I was in his office one day and I was sitting there and I was showing all the problems. This is the problem. We need to fix this. And he stopped me literally mid-sentence and said, Travis, I don't pay you to find problems. I pay you to find solutions. And that alone right there, I felt, number one, embarrassed that I was in there doing the blame. Well, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. Coming back to, okay, I can't go in this guy's office, who is my employer, who I have to impress, until I have a solution. And then oftentimes it was about acting on the solution even before I came with the solution, right? So he didn't even want me to come in with a solution. He wanted me to find the solution, do the solution, and then come to him and said, I found this problem, I did this thing, and it solved it, and here's what we're doing. That's what he wanted to see. And it forever changed my career path. That's when I really started to excel, not only corporately, but also when I came into the world of entrepreneurism, which is, I see problems all day long. We all do. But if you focus on the problems, you live in blame. If you focus on solutions, you live in responsibility. And that forever changed. It forever changed me. But that goes to what you're saying, Dan. Here we are in 2023, and he talks about going forward and going back. But if we're living in blame, we're living back in 2022. But if you're living in success, then you're looking ahead at the future and finding solutions to make 2023 different than 2022.
And that's why, Travis, what you just said is so true, because we have been in the corporate world, we have seen it so right there. We have to be the best managers of our dreams. If we are not the best managers of our dreams, that's why big companies succeed. Not because of the CEO, the vision. The vision is there, the vision is great, but actually about the management of the company. That's what makes it even better. You know what I mean? Because you have seen excellent CEOs, excellent visions in companies and stuff like that. But if you see the management, that's why it doesn't succeed. And what you said, it was just right. I mean, you need to go ahead and make sure that you are doing always the best management of your dreams. You're always going forward towards your goals, towards your dreams, making sure that everything is in order, and then you have that push. And that's why I think that if we become the best managers of that, I think that we'll be successful on that area. I think that's one of the keys for that. And you will see it in any corporation. Most of the people who gets paid better are the people that solve and they get the vision of the CEO and runs with it.
Well, JC, we were talking earlier because I've had a really similar corporate career in that we started in customer service and worked our way up to being owners. I mean, that's a very rare thing, because it wasn't like we just walked in from college graduation, whatever, and got these executive positions. But I mean, literally, we worked ourselves up from customer service all the way to different positions in the company. And I know we were talking about this. We had our peers that we worked with. Yeah. And it's interesting to see where some of them have wound up versus where we've wound up, right? Like taking those steps. And I would go back to what Jeff Fulson is saying. I remember working with other people, and a lot of people just did enough to get paid. That was it. And they were afraid to take that step forward. They were afraid to take responsibility, right? And for themselves, for who they were. Instead, it was easy just to kind of sit back and be like, well, it's not my job. This is my job right here. Those that were like, dude, it doesn't matter what your job is. You got to get the shit done. Those are the people who thrived. And I remember literally watching that in the court, because I saw these companies go from 0 to 500 million. Imagine the amount of employees, from a handful of employees to over 900. That's what I witnessed. And that was I'm telling you, those people who understood responsibility, man, they flew. Those that did just enough to keep their jobs, they're still keeping their job.
Absolutely. And I was talking to them the other day. I've seen people that I work with that I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are really good. You know what I mean? They're super good. Well, the moment that they step out of that company and they go to another company, you're like, oh crap. It's actually they're not that good. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what happened? And that's the thing that sometimes we don't know exactly what is the engine of the company, who's running, who's behind, and who's actually doing things. Sometimes it's just one person that is just standing there getting all the credits, and you don't know exactly who's behind that. And that's so powerful, because that actually teaches you. And I think you see it also in MLM with distributors, right? You see distributors like making so much money in one company, but the moment that they go to another one, then they're not able to go back to it. And that's because of positioning, because they were here, they had this, they had that. I mean, luck, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think.
Go ahead, Dan.
I think a lot of it's just team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see it in sports too. You see great players go from one team to another, and then all of a sudden they end up being nobody, and then somebody else replaces that person and it ends up being a superstar. You saw it with running backs with the Cowboys back in the day. They could go throw in any running back in there and look like a superstar, because obviously every single one is good. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing in the work. Yeah, it's the same thing in business. You have one person and everybody's like, man, that person's awesome, but they're not understanding the entire team that it's taken for that person to shine. And I think that the problem you have in business and in life is sometimes you lose that humility and you start thinking, yeah, I am pretty cool. It is me. And you forget about all the players on the team. And so then you go somewhere and then you start to realize, man, why isn't this working? It works so good in the other company. I did the same thing in this company and that company. But the issue is you don't have all these same players that you had before, because they're never all going to follow you. So I think that it's one of those situations that it's always important to put a good team together, whether you own a company, running a company, or as a distributor. My first thing that I would always do every single time I started off as a distributor, is I'd start structuring a team. And what I knew that I needed in the team, I really needed a handful of things. I needed some people that could generate leads. You know, that was one thing. And what I found is some people that could generate a lot of leads, they don't want to follow up with them because a lot of times that was a technical person. They understood advertising, they understood these, but they didn't want to sell. So I'd always try and team them up with the people that maybe didn't have money for leads and stuff like that, but they had time and then they had some skill. And then so I'd get these lead vendors and people that had leads, then I'd put people to follow up and call all of the leads. And then you'd always also have to have the people that could build culture and could build you know, the duplication and the retention in there and just kind of that feel good, because a lot of times the salespeople aren't that. They just want to call the lead, you know, get them in the business and then go on to the next one and get them in the business and go on to the next one and the next one. They don't want to spend all that time once they're in to cultivate that relationship and onboard them. And so I really found it took 3 or 4 things in order to really create a successful team. And I think that's one of the things that I excelled at as a distributor, was being able to put these teams together. It had not a whole lot to do with me. You know, I was putting the things together. I understood what needed to happen, but there's no way I could have done any of that on my own. But, you know, I think those are the things that are difficult and great about network marketing. The thing that's difficult, no matter how good you are, you can't do it on your own. You have to be able to create that duplication, and you have to be able to, you know, cultivate those relationships and get the retention. And so the thing I want to really just like we do on every call is, you know, what are the things you're implementing from these books into your business, into your, you know, 5 non-negotiables. I've seen some of the influencers and stuff like that step up their non-negotiables. And that's really what it's meant to be. Like we talked about before with, you know, on the nutrition, just start off, just drink your active greens every day. But now I've seen people, you know, step up significantly from there with several other things. Then on the, you know, the fitness and the physical and the movement, you know, we have these different challenges that we're doing. And then I've seen a lot of people, you know, add the challenge, but then add a lot more to it. And the thing that I think that we really need to get people focusing on is, what are you doing for the business? You know what I mean? Adding more people to your list every day, inviting more people to, you know, view the presentations and things like that. And I am seeing, you know, just on the sales side, we are seeing some increase so far this year. So there's a lot of people pushing and working hard, and I'm excited to see how that continues to multiply and duplicate. But anybody that's listening, you know, type into the you know, comments here, you know, what are you doing? What did you take from Atomic Habits? What did you take from Never Finished? What are you taking from the Slide Edge? And how are you implementing those into your 5 non-negotiables? How are you putting those into your daily life? And what are you noticing? What type of success are you seeing? And Travis, if you have anything that you've added from any of those 3, or JC or stuff like that, you know, what are you noticing?
Oh, wow. Well, so going back to Atomic Habits, the 1%, I never really understood the small increase on a daily basis, what it yields at the end of the year. So I've committed to increasing what I ever do, like a small percentage every day. That's first thing for me. Second of all, Never Finished. It's inspired me in so many ways. Number 1, I got that voice recorder where I literally say all the negative stuff about myself that my head says, and I play it back, and it's unbelievable how hard we are on ourselves. I'm telling you, that's been a game changer for me. And then this idea of doing something that's uncomfortable. I've taken that to heart. Like I think I told a story last time where, you know, I ran my 4 miles in the morning, and then it was snowing later that night, and I said, F it, man, I'm going to go out there and run another 4 miles just because I can. And I want to see how uncomfortable it was. And for me, it was the mental experience of what it felt like that first mile, and then mile 2, mile 3, mile 4 on that second run. And it's amazing what your body does when you really push yourself. And so those are some things I've taken to heart. And then from the Slide Edge, it's, you know, just reminding myself, I haven't really taken anything just yet, but just remind myself of the blame game, or the, you know, living in success or living in failure. I think that's something that really came to me this week when I was reading that chapter. But game changers for sure. JC, what about you?
No, absolutely. I mean, what I'm doing right now and what I'm starting to do, for me is always to set the tone of the start of the day. So every morning I'm starting with some music that lit me up, and obviously with words of affirmations, and just start doing the. I'm the type of person that I always say, okay, 5 more minutes in the mornings, especially. And I think that everyone does, but I'm starting to master the 3 second rule. As soon as the alarm goes on, you have 3 seconds in order for your brain to say, okay, 5 more minutes, or let's go. I'm going to stand up. So I think that that has helped a lot, especially to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym and start my day early. And honestly, I've seen some results in that matter. Like as soon as your alarm goes on, you have 3 seconds to decide, and instead the deciding is just standing up. Instead of saying like, should I go 5 more seconds, or should I stay there, or it's too cold, or it's too dark, whatever it is just standing up and just go straight to the bathroom, get ready, and take my protein pre-workout, and let's go to the gym. So I think that's something that I've been working on, that has helped me a lot. And for me, starting my day early is just for some people work, for some people have different obviously routines, but for me it helps me out, because by the mid of the day, stuff like that, I feel that I'm more productive. I feel that I have more things accomplished, and then I can go on a second ride to the gym. I can go and do something more. So I think those things are very essential for whoever wants to go ahead and start the day early. They can go ahead and practice that, and I think that it will be really good. And the affirmation and starting the day with tune, for me, some people like quietness, and in the morning, I'm not the type of person that will go quiet. I like to put music. I like to go ahead and start the day with a good tone. So depending of course what is your expectation of the morning? Some people like to meditate, right? Have peace, have tranquility, have all that. I'm the other way around. So, but it's working so far. So I'm working on those things. I think that I hope that I can master those pretty soon. And the second thing is my diet. That's the still thing that I'm not mastering a lot. I need to go ahead and dial
1% each day, JC. Just 1% each day. You can do it.
I'm trying. At least I'm trying to eat twice a day. Good, healthy. The other one is debatable, but yeah.
Dan, hey Dan, I know you're doing you committed, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, to doing the gratitude. How's that going? And have you been consistent? And what have you learned from that?
Yeah, you know what? I haven't been as consistent as I should. I got consistent. I got a notebook and I started writing it down, and I wanted to, actually physically write it down. And I found that does make a pretty big difference. And I really think that it's hard to not just kind of have the same things all the time, because it's like there's not a whole lot changing. It's not like I've been trying to think of little things throughout the day. Like, I'm glad that this thing went smooth, or I'm glad that, because so many things can go bad. So usually you're just like, thankful for, businesses are going good and family is good and this, but you don't want to just say those same things every day. So now I've been focusing more on just things throughout the day that went good, that could have gone bad. You know what I mean? Or even if things go bad and the day isn't that good, then, you're just grateful that you have another day tomorrow, and another chance to move. So what I've noticed is I did a pretty good job for probably about 8, 9, 10 days in a row, because I just kept it in my, I was driving the same car every day, which, is a little bit rare for me. I switch up all the time. And so I kept it right on my, the console in between the seats and the car. And I'd always just kind of get to the office, and I'd sit for an extra, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then just kind of write the things down from the day before. And then I actually did switch cars, and I didn't bring it over. But what's interesting, when I stopped writing the things down every day, almost every single day, I still took a little while to think about it. And so I think that the thing that we have in life is you have to realize, like, how much control, but yet how little control we have over everything. And so my whole thing is really just trying to understand more the things that I am in control of, and kind of let some of the things that I'm not in control of go away a little bit, and not let those drag me down, and not take too much time to think about them. But I think it's a cool practice, and a little bit different because I never really thought about that before we had the call maybe a month ago. I never really done any of that. I've never journaled. I've never been that, I've never focused on those things. And so I really didn't know what to expect. And I just thought, oh, it's just waste of time, no need. But it is interesting that I've just been realizing, like, man, so many things could go so different. And so just being grateful that you're alive, and grateful that you have an opportunity to fail or to succeed. You know what I mean? That there's so much that's in our hands, and a lot of times you want to sit back and you don't want to take that responsibility, because you do want to play that blame game and oh, well, it's not my fault, he did it or they did it or whatever. But it doesn't matter whose fault it is. The whole concept is whatever happened, and now we got to move on. You know what I mean? We until we can figure out that time machine, which I don't know if that's going to happen in our lifetime.
Not in this dimension anyway.
Yeah, we just got to move forward and do the best that we can. And I really love. I'm not sure the first one. I've heard several people say similar things, but just kind of like, if you want to find out how to create success, the first thing is, don't quit. You can't just always be a quitter. Anytime things get tough and you quit. The second thing is win every day. Have that game plan. And that's what the 5 non-negotiables is all about. It's giving us the ability to win every day. And the third thing is, if you screw up, if you make a mistake, admit it and try not to do it again. Learn from it. We win or we learn. And, nobody's perfect. If we mess up, then, don't take responsibility for it and move on and try not to let it happen again. And then, I think that if you do those 3 things, you don't quit, you have a game plan and you try and win every single day, and you take responsibility for the things that you mess up on and try not to do it again and do better. I mean, how can you possibly fail? Literally, those 3 things are what it is. And the 5 non-negotiables is designed so that you win every single day. The accountability is designed so that you don't quit. And then just things like this are going in there and focusing on, taking responsibility. Because at the end of the day, people don't care that much. A lot of times they think if people are always thinking about you or talking about you or this, not that often. You know what I mean? People don't think about us or care about us nearly as much as we think that they do. And so, let's just, move forward, help as many people as we can.
Who cares what they think about you?
Yeah, exactly. But
well, this actually goes right into the last point, which is, he says, at any moment you can choose to step into the success curve. And what you're saying is, you just make that decision. Like, today's that day. I'm going to, Dan, I will never forget the day you called me. I first of all, I was in the Bahamas, and that's hard to forget. But when you talked about the 5 non-negotiables, like, I took it to heart, I wrote it down and I stuck to it. But I made that decision after our conversation, I'm going to keep these non-negotiables. And literally my mind, my body, everything has changed. Like, it's unbelievable. If you look at me now to where I was when you had that phone call, I'm a completely, even physically different than I was before that phone call. And it's because I chose that moment to step into accountability. I chose to step into responsibility. I'm going to own my life from here on out. And I believe in what we're doing. And I believe that, actually Jeff Olson talks about in chapter 10, what are we doing to contribute to the goodness of the world? He actually brings that up. And when I think about the 5 non-negotiables, when I think about the potential we have of how many people we can influence, that's what gets me up every day. That's what gets me excited. But I know that I have to do that discipline in order for me to teach the discipline. And so I've taken it to heart, but I chose that day, I'm stepping in, and I leaned in, and it's been a great ride ever since.
The only thing that I would say with that, Travis, is that we have to be way careful, because sometimes we fall into this trap of every day saying, like, okay, I'm going to get better. Okay, now I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do this. Like, I spent so many years paying the gym when I was 18 till probably 20 something with no results. And always was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. I was going to the gym mostly daily. But why did I see more results in 3 or 4 months going to the gym because it was the same mindset, the same mentality. I'm going to do it. But now I needed to go ahead and change and doing things differently and actually see progress. Not just I'm gonna do it, because we can fall into these minds. And I see that a lot of people fall into this, saying, I want to be rich, I want to go ahead and have success, I want to have this car, I want to have this, I want to do this. But every single day, what is actually that you're doing that you're seeing the progress into that goal? You can go ahead and spend the rest of your life saying, I want this, I want that, I want that. But I think the moment that we change, I should go to the gym for I must go ahead and make sure that I lost 3 pounds this week. That's a totally different game plan. That's a totally different mindset. Goals are short term, and make sure that you're progressing on that, because a lot of people, like I did, you get stuck on that mindset on saying like, okay, today's the day. Today I'm gonna do it. Today is actually the day that I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And you can spend years and years and years and not get anywhere.
Good point. Very valid point.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I say the last thing I just want to just make a point of, not even make a point of, in that book on page 195, he lists some different areas of your life that you should go in and rate. And what I liked about that is Dan and I talked about this. By the way, we have a lot new information coming out here in the coming weeks, especially in regards to the 5 non-negotiables. But one of the things that Dan and I really liked, and JC included, was the wheel, where we had that regional training where you went in and you actually rated where you were on these certain areas of your life, and you got to draw that around. Jeff Olson actually has a similar thing too. He talks about your health, your happiness, your friendships and relationships, personal development, finances, career, and positive impact in the world. And he wants you to rate those on a scale from 1 to 10 and show you where you're in balance or out of balance. And the reason why you have to be aware of where you're at, but then this is where that moment of stepping into the success curve is making that decision. And I'm excited. I know, Dan, I mean, I've been messaging you back and forth about this, what we're doing with the 5 non-negotiables coming up here. And I really believe we're onto something. And I believe that we will, make an impact for good and really get people on that success curve, which is the intention of why we're even doing this company, was to get people on that success curve.
for sure. And I think at the end of the day, we realize that we all want things to move a lot faster. Nobody likes waiting for things, but there's a lot of cool stuff in the works, and we're not years away. We're literally what I think of about 60 days away from having pretty much everything done that we planned on doing for the entire company. And then it's really just kind of shampoo, rinse, and repeat. And that's why we wanted to put this together, is to get something that doesn't have a lot of moving parts, that people learn it. Once they understand it, they push. But the big key is taking people from where they are now to living the life of their dreams, which happens with, first off, understanding what your dreams are, what you want. Second off, putting together the 5 non-negotiables so that you can win every single day with consistency, and then have an opportunity that has the ability to allow you to control your time and make the amount of money and the resources that you need to live the life of your dreams. Because we've all seen, if somebody wants to know, well, how do I make millions of dollars per year? I can explain that in 15 seconds. Get 3 influencers, help them get 3, duplicate it 4 more times. You're sitting right there at 400,000 to 500,000 per month.
Yeah, exactly.
So right there, you're making over $5 million, $6 million per year. And I found 3 influencers. I helped them find 3. I duplicate that 4 more times, and I'm sitting at 500,000. The amount of money that can be made is unlimited. And if I did that same thing with qualified influencers and grew the business that way, the money's even way more. So it's really that people need to understand, okay, we have a business that gives us the opportunity to control our time. There's not a whole lot of moving parts here. We understand that nutrition is a big part of life, and we're with a company that's simplifying it from having to take 10, 12 pills a day to taking 1 drink a day. And really not missing anything. When you have your gut health, you have your detox, you have the adaptogens, you have the minerals and alkalization and oxygenation of the body, and then you have the support of your cardiovascular system. it's pretty dang complete. You know what I mean? And then you have a business that is just focused on 5 non-negotiables and improving your life, one step at a time, 1% a day. And I think that it'll be interesting. But we're about 4 months into this journey. 4 to 5 years, which we've all seen, it typically takes a company somewhere between 3 to 5 years to go from, if they do it, most never do, to go from 0 to 100 million a year. I'm super excited to see the impact and the lives that are changing and are going to be changed over the next 3, 4, 5 years of the people that are just now getting started with us and on this journey with us. And I've never been more confident in taking a company from 0 to large in my life, not because it's going perfect, not because it's the fastest moving company we've ever launched or anything like that, just because the overall principles are all proven, are all true. And I think when you're following proven principles and you continue to push, it cannot be stopped. It can't not work. And those are the things that I think that as a distributor, you have to get that faith in understanding, build the list, cultivate the list, present the business to the list, find your perfect prospects for influencers, find your perfect prospects for customers, continue to cultivate that, invite. That's the entire business. And then teaching that, it is not possible to do those on a consistent basis and have it not work. It just flat out is not possible. You know what I mean? It's just like cooking a recipe. If I have all the ingredients and everything is set up for me, if I put them together, pretty much 100 out of 100 times, I'm going to make whatever it is I'm trying to make. It's not like this magic is going to happen and it's going to work for everybody but me. You know what I mean? When you have the recipe, when you have the ingredients, when you do them consistently, then what it does is it's just the recipe for success in network marketing in a home-based business. And that's what we're providing for everybody. And I think as we give it the time that it takes, we're going to see some amazing things happen. And so let's keep pushing forward and making those goals day in and day out. And if we have a bad day, let's just not have 2 in a row,
Love it. Yeah. And I appreciate that. And JC, any last words you want to say before we wrap up?
No. I think let's go. Let's go ahead and change those shoots for must, and let's go ahead and conquer the day, guys.
Awesome, guys. Hey, Dan and JC, I just want you to know, it's always a pleasure. I love these calls. I really do. I feel it's genuine, which is what I love. I hate the structured, it has to be this certain way. I love just talking from our hearts and throwing our experience. And I hope that those that are listening are taking to heart what we're saying, which is our genuine interest and intention is to create success for everybody, not just on a financial side, but also a personal development side, a spiritual side, just to help you live the life you deserve and the life that we know you're capable of doing. And these calls are just the first of many on that step to growing this company into something that's going to be phenomenal and make an impact for good in the world. And that's what, like I said, it excites me every day to be a part of that, to work with these gentlemen right here, Dan and JC, to be able to collaborate with them. Trust me, we have our disagreements. We go back and forth. We're learning to pivot. We have our personality differences, but guess what? We make it work. And that's what's going to make this a success. And we know that all of you on the call also have that same mindset as well too. And we couldn't be more happy to be partnered with you and working out these solutions and finding a path to give everyone the best success they have. So
one thing I want to add really quick, Travis, and you can close it out, is one thing I am super excited about is on the 20th. So I believe that's Friday. We are meeting with the producer of our podcast, and we're going to have that starting off next month. So everybody cool. Be ready for Self-Made coming live at you in February.
Awesome. Look, I'm excited about that project as well too. And Dan, thanks for seeing that vision and seeing it through and being a part of it. I suspect it's going to be a continuation of these calls, but we're going to have actually people that have, outside the industry, inside the industry, who've made millions, and just talking to them about what success they found and how they found it and what kind of mental toughness and what tribulations and trials did they go through and what was the secret of their success. And I mean, I know Dan and we've talked about this. I've always wanted to go up to like a big old mansion, knock on the door and be like, dude, what's the secret? And we're going to bring that to you with Self-Made. We have a lot of people in our Rolodex that we're going to bring on. So I'm excited about that. So very cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Hey, we will see you next Tuesday, 9:00 a.m. Hope you guys are streaming this and watching it, enjoying what you're doing. And other than that, keep posted to social media for any updates in the company. I know we have a call this week with the marketing team to go over some of the new messaging, but we don't want to go off on that tangent. Just know that it's coming and it's upward and onward. So thanks, guys, for joining me this morning. I know that all of us are in different places right now, and I love the fact that we can still get together and kind of execute on these calls. So with that, I'll sign off. JC, Dan, have a great night. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and everyone have a great day.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, bye-bye, guys.